Hello everybody, Jonathan Rayo here with Simplified Guitar, and welcome to the first episode of a new segment I'm calling Love Songs Hidden Gems, where I'm going to cover the love song genre's best kept secrets. Now, these are not your run-of-the-mill love songs. To make it on this list, they have to have creative, well-written lyrics, some nice, unique chord progressions, and they have to be clean enough that you can sing it to your wife with your kids in the room. Unfortunately, that one is going to eliminate quite a lot. So in this first episode, I'm going to be covering the song Love Is Not a Fight by Warren Barfield. I'm going to play through the song for you first right now, and then afterward, I'm going to break it down and explain it to you in more detail. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than my usual song tutorials. I'm going to be playing it freestyle in the sense that I'm not going to be trying to stick to a certain tempo or a certain pattern of strumming. So I'm not going to have the strum pattern on the screen like I usually do, but I'm going to explain and break down the picking pattern and the strumming that I'm going to be using throughout the song after I play it.
Love is not a place to come and go as we please. It's a house we enter in and then commit to never leave. So lock the door behind you, throw away the key. We'll work it out together. Let it bring us to our knees. Love is a shelter in a raging storm. Love is peace in the middle of a war. And if we try to leave, may God send angels to guard the door. Oh, love is not a fight, but it's something worth fighting for. To some, love is a word that they can fall into, but when they're falling out, keeping that word is hard to do. Love is a shelter in a raging storm. Love is peace in the middle of a war. And if we try to leave, may God send angels to guard the door. Oh, love is not a fight, but it's something worth fighting for. Love will come to save us if we'll only call. He will ask nothing from us but demand we give our all. 'Cause love is a shelter in a raging storm. Love is peace in the middle of a war. And if we try to leave, may God not sending angels to guard the door. Love is not a fight, but it's something worth fighting for. Yes, I will fight for you. Will you fight for me?
All right, so this song is going to be in the G chord family, and the verses are going to be a little bit different than the chorus. For the verses, we're actually going to be doing some finger picking. When we get to the chorus, we're going to be strumming. We're going to be staying in the same time signature. We're going to be in 3/4 time the whole song, but we're going to change kind of the pattern that we're going to be playing within that time signature. So for the verses, we're going to have a unique progression here, which is really nice. It's a very pretty progression. We're going to start up here. It's actually very simple to play, and believe it or not, there's a lot of songs that use these variations of chords, I guess you could say, within the G chord family. But we're going to start here, and we're only going to be using 2 fingers, the same 2 fingers on the same 2 strings for all of this progression except for the last note. But we're going to start out up here on the, let's see, this is the 7th and the 8th string, 7th and 8th fret, sorry. And our first finger is going to be on the A string, 7th fret, 3rd finger on the, let's see, this is the B string and the 8th fret. Okay, so I'm only going to be playing those 2 strings, which is, again, the A string and the B string, and I'm going to be using my 1st and 3rd finger. And I'm going to be picking with these 3 fingers, my thumb, 1st and 2nd finger, and my thumb is going to be on that A string, my 1st finger is going to be on the G string, and my 2nd finger on the B string. So I'm going to pluck my thumb on the A string and my 2nd finger on the B string together. Okay? So those 2 strings, and then right after that, I'm going to pluck the G string with my 1st finger. Okay? All right, and that's all I'm going to do for this note. Okay, and then we're going to slide down, and now we're going to play on the 5th fret and the 7th fret. 5th with my 1st finger, 7th with my 3rd, and I'm going to pluck the same strings in the same way with my hand. Then I'm going to drop down 2 frets and do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to drop down to the 2nd and 3rd fret with the same 2 fingers on the same 2 strings and play the same thing with this hand. Then from here, this is where my fingers are going to change. I'm going to come and use my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and I can let go of everything else and play the same thing with this hand. Again, really slow just to show you this progression. Now something else we need to play after we get to that last note right here. We have a bit of time after we play this before we have to come back up and play that progression again. So we have to do something to keep the music alive, otherwise, it's going to be pretty silent. So what we're going to do is we're going to alternate between the E string and the G string, just playing those 2 strings back and forth with our thumb and our 1st finger to keep the tempo and the music going before we come back over here. So again, what I'm going to do is this. So what's happening is that my thumb is playing that G note on repeat. It's just playing it for every beat. And then I'm going to add my index finger on that G string. Again, as I said before, this song's going to be in 3/4 time. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So what I'm doing with that index finger on the high G string is I'm playing it after beat 2 and 3, but not after beat 1. So it creates that pattern where we have 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and my index finger is hitting that high G string on the ands. 1, 2, and 3, and 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 1, 2, and 3, and. For the last half of the verse, after we come to this G alternative, I'm going to go to a C, okay? And the main thing that we need to hear is that root note, that C note right there, okay? And then we go back to G, and then we have a D over F sharp. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and. So sometimes I'll add embellishments with my second finger, maybe coming to that B string and adding just an extra note in there. But the important thing, you can hear that same rhythm repeated, that same pattern repeated of 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and. And then when we get to the chorus, we're going to be transitioning from picking the strings to actually strumming them. And we're going to be playing chords now, more of the traditional chords rather than these variations. And you may notice that for the C add 9 and for the G a lot in this song, I'm not using my first finger. I'm just playing with my second, third, and fourth, and I'm removing that first finger. And for the C add 9 and for the G, you'll notice that first finger is playing the string below my root note. So for the G chord, my first finger is playing on the A string right below this G note. And the reason sometimes I like to play it without that first finger, what I'm actually doing is letting my second finger mute the string below it. So if I play it one string at a time, you can hear that A string is muted. Same thing with the C add 9. If I play it this way and remove that first finger and mute this string, in this case now it's the D string, what that's doing is it's making the root note a lot more clear, because that root note now is going to be the deepest note. Everything else that we hear is going to be a higher pitch because I'm excluding that other low pitch note. So it really makes that root note ring out very clear. So now, once we get to that chorus, we're going to be strumming. So what I'm going to be doing for my strumming is I'm doing that same pattern of 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and. But now I'm strumming the strings with it. And I'm going to show you how to strum without a pick. So we're not going to be using a pick because we need to be finger picking for the verses. So we're going to have 3 beats per measure again, and we're going to have 3 down strums, 1 for every beat. And when we're strumming down, we need to strum with our thumb down like this, okay? And then when we strum up after beat 2 and 3 on the ands, 1, 2, and 3, and. So on those ands, we're going to strum up, and we're going to use either your first or your second finger to strum up on the strings, okay? Now at the end of the chorus, we need to transition back into the finger picking, which is very quiet. So what we're going to do for the last 2 chords of the chorus is we're not going to strum through the whole pattern. We're just going to strum one whole note for each one of those chords so that we can start to quiet down the sound, so that when we transition into the finger picking, it's not such a drastic change. We're going to be slowly slowing the song down, or slowly quieting the song down back into the verse again.
It's not a fight, but it's something worth fighting for.
At the very end of the song, one of the things I'm going to do to end it, the very last note, is when we get to that G, instead of playing the E string and the B string, like we did all the other times, I'm going to let my pinky come down on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and I'm going to, instead of plucking the B string with my second finger, I'm going to pluck the E string. So that last note, I'm plucking the low E string and the high E string. So again, it would be. And it gives it that very nice definite ending where we're ending on that root note, the key note of the song, which is the G. As I said before in the verses, these picking patterns here, all of these notes that I'm playing is, again, variations to the traditional chords within the G chord family. So if we want to make it a little bit easier and not play it like this, we could just play regular chords and eliminate some of this walk. Right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different progressions that we're playing through. Instead of doing that, we can eliminate some of it and play just chords and make it a little bit simpler. So again, we start off on an E minor, so we could play that. We can skip the D and play a C right here. And instead of this G over B and then G, we could just play a G. Okay, so we're eliminating the in-between chords and we're just playing the main ones. So we could play the verses like this if we want, using E minor 7, C add 9, and G. Love is not a place to come and go as we please. It's a house we enter in and then commit to never leave. So if you're really uncomfortable with finger picking, this is a way you could play this song without using finger picking at all, and you can just stay strumming. And in that case, you can just use a pick and have a pick in your hand if you're more comfortable with a pick, and just strum through the whole song. As I said at the beginning of the lesson, for a song to make it on this list for the Love Song Hidden Gems, it needs to be unique and creative. And to me, for this song, this progression in the G chord family is very creative, it's very unique, and it has a melody that's very memorable. It's very easy to remember this melody. It gets stuck in your head. And even though that progression is very simple, it's very unique because the song is in 3/4 time. We're actually not playing a traditional 3/4 time pattern. We're playing doublets for this walk. And that's very unique. There's not very many songs or artists who use doublets and triplets. And just for a brief explanation of what doublets are, if we're going to be in 3/4 time, you have to have your beats evenly spaced. Okay, so you have to have 3 evenly spaced beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They're all evenly spaced apart. But doublets, what doublets are is we're trying to fit 2 beats within a 3-beat pattern. Okay, so I'm going to count out loud 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then with my hands, I'm going to clap 2 beats within. I'm going to try to fit those 2 beats in there, and that's going to be my doublet. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that second hand clap is coming not on a beat. It's not on any one of those 3 beats, and it's not even in between any of those beats. It's coming somewhere else, and that's what doublets are. And triplets are the same thing, but for songs that are in 4/4 time, where you try to fit 3 beats within a 4-beat measure. So this is a bit of a complicated technique, and when artists use doublets and triplets in a very unique way, it really makes the song sound very creative, something very new and something very fresh. All right, if you enjoyed this lesson, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any recommendations for love songs that you consider to be hidden gems that maybe don't play on the radio, but are very unique, creative, and clean, put it in the comments down below, and who knows, maybe I'll cover one of your songs. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care.